all of us, man.
Stop.
Reggie, stop. Just chill, man.
Get over here.
Just chill.
Put that out.
Put it out, Reggie.
Put it out.
Put it out, bro. Stop.
That's what's gonna make
Well, you want to buck up on me, dude? Huh?
Just chill out, bro. Just put it out.
You'll be
out.
Just put it out.
You got a problem with me?
You got a problem with me?
Yeah,
Bro,
I
Reggie,
do.
just chill, bro.
Bro, just chill, bro.
He's gonna give us more
Hey,
hard time if we
my brother stuck. Just chill on. That's all I'm saying.
All right, I'm going to be out with my Melwood Lane tour.
I like your ring,
Outside your pocket.
sir. I like your ring.
Dude, I'm about to jack
It's
you up
glistening.
right now. Do you
Bro,
understand
just chill
that?
out.
You know what? Let's go. Okay, you want to fuck around?
Bro, just chill, bro.
You want to fuck around?
Reggie, hey, don't resist. Reggie, don't resist.
Do it. I'm telling you right now.
Oh, hey, bro, what the fuck?
Bro,
Oh my God, get away from me.
don't fucking touch him.
Bro, don't grab his neck like that, bro.
Bro, don't fucking touch him.
Bro, don't touch him like that, bro. Hey, come on. Reggie.
Jail.
I'm getting no fucks,
You're
bro.
going to jail, dude.
No,
I'm fucking touch him like that.
Going to jail.
bro, for what? You gotta know.
Largo police officer has been fired following an internal affairs investigation of video that appeared to show him grabbing a 17-year-old boy by his neck. The officer is being accused of using inappropriate force and violating a policy over rude behavior or profane language.
Bro, just chill, bro.
He grabbed my son, grabbed him by his neck, and my son still didn't fight with him. That hurt.
Ann Arnold said the proof is in this video. The officer with his hands around her son's neck, telling the 17-year-old to put out his cigar. When he doesn't,
You got a problem with me?
You got a problem with me?
the cop then tells the teen to show his hands.
To jack
It's
you up right
glistening.
now. Do you understand that? You know what? Let's go. Okay, you want to fuck around?
Bro, just chill, bro. Hey, don't resist. Don't resist.
Do it. I'm telling you right now.
Oh, hey.
The 17-year-old was charged with resisting an officer without violence.
That was unnecessary. Why would you use force when he's not doing nothing? He's not talking crap to you. He's not in your face. He's not hitting you. Nothing.
Former officer Brian Livernoy, seen here in an old department photo, was responding to a battery call. During an internal investigation, police say Livernoy's claimed the teen in the video matched the description of a person who threatened to shoot someone. It turns out the boy's mom says her son was unarmed.
Yeah, he has made mistakes in his life, but he didn't deserve that treatment.
The department fired the officer who had been with Largo police since 2012. The teen's mom says that's not enough.
If my son would have hit you, he would have got charged. Why you're not being charged?
Ann Arnold, the teen's mother, also thinks her son's charge of resisting arrest should be dropped.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wake Up Report. First and foremost, if I were that cop, and this is why I am not a cop, that little noodle neck punk that you see right there, he would be eating dirt right about now because he'd be face down on the ground, handcuffed, and I would have arrested him for disorderly conduct, and I would have arrested him for assaulting a police officer. I do not get where these little punks think they can get up in the faces of police officers and threaten them as if they are going to put their hands on them. Now, there are a lot of you out there that do not agree with the tactics of the police. As in this case, that what we're going to talk about today with this cop manhandling this other little punk. Whether you agree with the tactics of the police or not, when an officer tells you to do something, just do it. Or as my father used to tell me, you do not argue with a man that is carrying a gun. Second, the police department made a horrible mistake in firing this police officer. That was total BS. It's cops like this that keep these little punks in control, and I'll give you 5 years from now, maybe 6 years from now, that same punk, those same two punks will be out there committing crime or something like that, and when they pop off and kill somebody, then you're going to be wondering why cops like this, cops who get fired for checking these punks, always get their heads chopped off when they're doing their jobs the way they're supposed to do their jobs. Third, I look at the way the cop is handling this punk. And if I'd have got out of line or I'd have backtalked my father like that, my father would have done the same thing to me. This is a result of when these little punks, whose daddies aren't in their lives, for whatever reason, they think that they can get up in a grown man's face and act like a grown man. Just because you got some hair on your balls, you think you can stand up in front of a grown man and pop off at a grown man. And when that grown man lets you know that you are nothing more than a boy, and he checks you, and now you realize once he puts his hands on you, I'm just a little boy and I had no business getting up in a grown man's face, that will more than settle them down. If his father was in his life, 8 times out of 10, something like this would have never happened. So don't be mad at the cops when they got to play daddy and check these little punks because their punk ass fathers aren't anywhere around. You're about as big as a wet noodle that been stepped on. And you gonna square off at a cop like that and ask him, you got a problem with me? No, the problem is gonna be me peeling your face off of the hood of my car because your face would have been eating that hot hood. Then I would have handcuffed you and threw you in the back seat with that other punk. Now his friends can clearly be heard in the video telling him to do what he's told, not to resist. This is one story where I've never seen everybody implicate the guy that you swear is innocent. They're qualifying his behavior as being out of control. They're qualifying his attitude as being out of control. When the officer tells him to go over to the car, he's going to be belligerent all the way up until that cop grabs his neck. And once he grabs his neck, that's when that little punk realizes I cannot get this man off of me if he decides to whoop my ass. As a matter of fact, it feels like I got daddy hands on me. So I better do what daddy tells me before daddy takes his belt off and beats the black off of my behind. And finally, this boy's mother, if you want to call her that, well, let's identify a few problems to begin with. Tattooed up all over your body, your neck, your chest, your arms, God knows where else you got tattoos on your body. And I'm more than willing that you walk around the house with your top off in front of your son, tatted up all over your body, looking anything other than what a mother is supposed to look like. Let me tell you women something, that dress like this in front of your children and look like this in front of your children, looking like a broke ass Beyonce or something like that. When you become mothers, I don't care about the things you couldn't do because you had to become a mama. You can't go out and party no more. You can't do this, you can't do that. You're a mother now, and you're supposed to set an example. Now, the father's not being in the picture, yeah, that is a huge part of this problem. The father's not being in the picture is the reason we have these little punk boys out here running around acting like this. But you got to deal with the problem as it exists in front of your face. You mothers, you are the first point of contact, the first point of education, the first point of influence. Everything that child is going to be because of how you raise that child. And when your child sees you walking around looking like a broke stripper, that don't be surprised, kid, when you turn 18, 19, when you go to a strip club, you may see your mama swinging off of one of those poles because that's what she looked like. She looked like some dime store washed up stripper who, I may add, implicated her own son's behavior as a reason, or one of the reasons, one of many reasons, if we really dig into his business, as to why he winds up with a cop's hands around his neck on the hood of a car about to be arrested.
Yeah, he has made mistakes in his life, but he didn't deserve that treatment.
So first of all, he's out here smoking at 17 years old, and that apparently does not bother you. Second, all right, the cop was responding to a call of a robbery or something that was going on. He's circling around and he sees these kids, so he rolls up on these kids to get some information. Now, is it a coincidence that your child happens to be within the same area of a crime that's being committed by a group of boys who fit his description? So this is a problem child. You don't want to admit it. You're certainly not going to admit it to the news, but this is a problem child. You cannot control him, so he's out here doing whatever it is he wants to do. And he does not listen to you. He will listen to a grown man. He probably listened to his father, but his father was probably one out there committing a robbery that they out there looking for. But when he comes across another grown man, the whole situation changes. These boys don't listen to you women. When they get a certain age, they're going to do what they want to do. And unfortunately, when those dads are absent, they are just out there. And it takes somebody like this cop to remind them that not only are they just boys, but they better learn how to listen to grown men if they know what's good for them. It was a huge mistake to fire that cop for doing what he did. If you don't want the cops to put daddy hands on your little out of control boys, then get their fathers involved in their lives so they don't have to play father to your wild childs out there running the streets, smoking cigarettes and being disrespectful and belligerent to police officers. Get out of that fantasy land of trying to recapture your youthful days when your titties stood straight up and you had some behind back there that went flopping all over the place. You are a mother now. Act like one. Cover your body up. Get the tattoos all off of your neck and all off of your chest, and try to have some degree of responsibility when it comes to your children. If you don't want the streets to check your child, then you check him before he walks out of that house. This is KTM and the Wake Up Report saying think a little bit. It will do wonders for you.